Introduction and welcome. Well, very good night for all the colleagues who are starting to enter here on the page. Welcome once again to Phase the Conferences. Today we start a new topic, we start a new cycle. I hope that the sound will be heard well, that everything is working. If someone can confirm me, I thank you. I hope that everything is working. Here it looks good, but well, you are the ones who listen. I hope there is no return. Well, it seems that here everything is fine. I hope that the sound is coming as it should be and we can start the conference tonight. Before, we will greet Elena here, who also accompanies us on YouTube. Alba accompanies us on Facebook, Angelica, Emilia, Ali Rio is also there, Jose. Well, this way Emiliano tells us that you listen well. Very interesting today's theme. Let's start a cycle, let's see some essential things in relation to what this school is, knowledge of yourself. Well, here Mile joined from Cartagena on YouTube. Welcome also. Remember that we already started reflection on Sundays. This Sunday we have reflection at 5 p.m. We return with this schedule, which we had left because of problems in the signal, in the charge of the internet. It was blocked too much on Sundays. We managed to solve this problem. Then, we return again a horita later, at 5 p.m., we do the reflection. This Sunday we will talk about the freedom of the lockup in which we are all involved. Knowledge gives us the possibility, if we work, to totally free ourselves from pain, problems, human misery. A very interesting topic. Then, I hope you will accompany us. Now, in a little while, we have a blank with our partner Javier. I don't know if he's going to hang out, but if he's going to hang out, then we'll put the invitation in the blank group for those who want to enter. This blank is public. Then, welcome. Tomorrow we have Phase B, don't forget them too at night. Cordially invited for everything we do here on the page. Let's start this new cycle of conferences. The previous cycle was very productive. We understood several things. Remember that we all learn. The instructor learns from what he teaches, and one is always maturing in knowledge. Each cycle leaves one with open views that allow one to understand the next. Besides that, each cycle helps one to open a little bit of intelligence, analytical or reflexive ability. Rather, one always helps and improves one's ability to assimilate the same knowledge. So, it's so important that everyone prepares and starts to do their work, so that they mature and move closer to one's own being. Self-knowledge. What is self-knowledge? People believe they know each other. People consider that they already have a knowledge, but they will find out that they don't know each other. They don't know who they are. They think that by having studied in a university, being born in a country, having a family, a reputation, having a surname, having a sex, having an age, that's really knowing each other. That's mechanical things of existence. Here we come to know ourselves. Knowing ourselves. The yes is related to being, but to know being, first we have to know the psychological constitution that we all have, which is decadent. It's a dark psychology, it's an involutive or evolutionary psychology, or both at the same time. Humanity considers that it is not dark. Everyone believes that it is not dark, that the way to be good is right, that the way to be kind, neat, honorable, sentimental, loving, is right. And really, these good ways are dark. We came to this school, called the School of Human Regeneration, to realize that. To realize that society and humanity vibrate in the dark. At the educational level, schools, universities, religions, economics, politics, fun, music, including family sentimentalities, they are part of the darkness. We are involved in that darkness and we do not realize it. Now, if we look at the other dark part, the heaviest, sexual degeneration, drug, alcohol, misery, pain, depravity everywhere, war, death, sadism, masochism, murderous drones. All the terribly decadent social psychology. We don't realize that we all vibrate with that psychology, because there is a law of correspondence that teaches us that everything we see outside is inside. So, we vibrate in an environment, we make part of an environment, of a society. We share in a society by that same vibration. What the individual is the mass. What the mass is the individual. If it wasn't so, we wouldn't be on this planet. We would be in a much higher place. But we are here sharing what we are, what we vibrate at a very, very, very low level. So, the fundamental thing is to get to know that, and not just to know it, but to destroy it, in order to be able to release that famous self. That self is a higher transcendental psychology that we all have caught up in called degeneration, ego, good and bad things. It could cause a little wonder to expose this in such a crude way, but the circumstances and environment demand it. The involutive and depraved burden of the whole race demands it. So, we are not out of tune, we are not out of time. We have a strong, rigorous, decisive approach. And that is the knowledge that we are delivering, a fairly serious and rigorous knowledge, and it is necessary. Where do we come from? Where are we going? What is the goal of existence? There come moments where people feel tired, bored. They no longer satisfy the things of life and question themselves. They don't find answers, but they have that feeling left, that need to know. And where are they going to find those answers? They're going to ask the priest, the psychologist. Everyone asleep, everyone degenerated, everyone with the hypocritical appearance we all put in. They won't find answers. The only way to find those answers is within themselves, as they wake up consciousness. So, the fundamental thing in existence is to know yourself. Yes. And here we are going to teach all the practices, the techniques, the systems to achieve that knowledge of itself, to begin to awaken. Because the human race has consciousness, a spark that we are already going to see, but it is asleep. So, if a person wants to know all the nature, the things of outer space, the planets, the galaxies, the universal wisdom, he must awaken to his inner being, his transcendental psychology, not this vague, degenerative, dark psychology that we all have. This psychology is retardatory, it is a manipulative, lying, selfish psychology. That is what we came to know to destroy. So, that higher psychology, we can call it whatever you want, call it divine, transcendental, wise, powerful. It doesn't matter. The important thing is to know that everyone has it asleep, trapped in the ego, and that we have to release it. A power, a universal wisdom, a wisdom that puts us in contact with transcendental beings from outer space. Right now, UFOs, aliens, are becoming too visible and they are already coming into contact with this miserable race. See if that gives them a shock, an impact. See if they want to work or not, so that they can become part of those higher races of the universe. The 4 pillars of wisdom, well, then it's important to know that the basis that we should know, the constitution that we should have clear, is that there is a physical body, a mind, a psychology, we can call dark energy, and a spirit, a consciousness, something higher, something transcendental, something that is not of this society. It's something that belongs to an elevated intelligence. It's that part, we can call it consciousness, essence, light, as you want to call it. Here the important thing is to know that those 3 parts constitute a person. The physical body is a machine, it's a transformer of energy. Yes, we have the physical body and we believe that the physical body is everything, and that everything belongs to the physical body. So, people say, the mind, that is, the way of thinking, is of the physical body. The way of feeling, of the physical body. The motor part, of the physical body. The instinctive part, of the physical body. We have 97% psychic dark energy, where the soul is trapped. Yes. And that dark psychology is what makes us move, think, feel, act. Most of that psychology is good, but the good and the bad make part of the same darkness. That is, that psychology does not serve us. That psychology is animal, it is manic, it is sentimental. It produces fear and fear at certain levels. It produces us pain, it causes us to lock up, it causes us fatigue, it produces stress. We must look for a different psychology, a high psychology. And that is where this so-called consciousness comes in, that essence that every person has at 3%. It is the real, it is the immortal, it is something very high, it is something transcendental. But in this decadent and dark race, no one has active that 3%. And this knowledge is focused on awakening that 3% of high intelligence. That's what this knowledge is for. It's a highly revolutionary knowledge. It's not a random, mystical knowledge, nor is a school where we are going to bring beautiful things and good people. Here we come to do a job, if we want to accept it, because there are all people free will. So, let's talk about the basis, about the 4 pillars of wisdom. These are, let's say, the principle of knowledge. But we have a lecture cycle where we're going to teach the psychological basis of what we have to work here. Let's talk generally, briefly, and already in the lectures we're going to open up and expand many aspects of psychology. The first pillar of wisdom, science, the goal is that the person has the basis where he or she will be supported to start working. Yes. So, it is important that everyone, if they want, everything is voluntary here, attend the various conferences where they will show those points of reference to generate a broader, deeper understanding, and the need for work. Well, the first pillar of wisdom, well, there are 4, let's talk about the first, which is science. Science teaches us to experiment, to see, to practice. Yes. So, here it is not about coming to talk vacancy more than we have in that head, theories, and concepts. But it is about starting to work and getting knowledge of itself. Each person goes, through the practices taught, to bring information from the inner worlds of the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th dimensions. And that's what he or she is going to do, is consciousness. So, here it's not about coming to believe, because if we're going to get to believe, then we get into a religion, A little school where we talk a little bit about things, and we start repeating nonsense that doesn't make us feel. Here it's about starting to work and starting to see the reality of things. So, we teach several practices. Let's see some. Concentration. We're going to teach people to concentrate, to develop that power. Astral, very important unfolding. This practice to be able to investigate in the inner world's things from our past existences. Being able to go when talking to awake beings, to investigate anything. It all depends on the level and merits, because no one is going to give anything away. These things are directed by the inner being of each one, the transcendental wisdom that directs all this. The deep intelligence of each one is going to direct all this. People are taught relaxation, or meditation, or to notice a vice, a psychological defect, a fear, a depression, a sadness, a vice of the drug, of the alcohol. Disarm it, understand it, eliminate it. See how this psychological mass is formed that leads the person to make all this amount of mistakes. Of course, if he sees that they are mistakes, because if he likes it very much and does not want to leave that, then well, let him continue with his process. No, because this is voluntary. Here he is not manipulated, blackmailed, or afraid of anyone. If he is born to remove all the psychological defects from him, then welcome. And if not, then, well, continue with them. The second pillar of wisdom, art. The second pillar of wisdom is art. Art teaches us to create, and we must create ourselves. How is it going to create something? It is one thing to make, and another thing to create. Because you can make a bed, a table, a toy, but creating is already something very different. So, the way to create is through the sexual creative energy. That is what it is created with. You were not born from a book, you were not born from praying, nor from a Bible, nor from a well of water out there, nor from a river. You were born from sex, from a sexual practice where the man with a sperm joined an egg, and so was born. That is, you were born through sex. But here we teach a superior sex, a sex that is called supersex, and we are going to regenerate this physical body because it is in a terrible decay. We are going to put energy into the brain, cells, blood, all organs. We are going to regenerate that physical body. We are going to pass it from a lunar decadent state to a higher state. They're also going to regenerate the vital body that everyone has, or we all have, in a lunar state. It's going to go solar. It creates a superior astral body, belonging to the higher emotions. A superior mental body, wise, not the vagrancy of lies that we have in that head, lust, anger, resentment, fantasies, hypnotism, beliefs, concepts. All of that is the minds of the selves, of the psychological defects that go by talking, saying nonsense in the head. Here it's about having a saved knowledge that has managed to pull out of their investigations and control that crazy mind. Because the whole world is crazy. So it feels very sane, because a person who doesn't control the mind, because it's mind. It depends on the minds. So, you have to master the mind, control the mind. And that work is done, and we're going to see it, through death. A higher mind and, logically, a will, body of the will, which is already doing the will of the Father and seeking to belong to the higher races of the universe. I repeat, this race is inwardly involutive, degenerate, dirty, vulgar, compared to the races of the other planets. It is thousands of times more intelligent, wise, clean, where there are no vices, where there is no prostitution, where there is no homosexualism. They are very high and very powerful races, and that is where we aspire to belong with this knowledge. Free transcendental beings, who are not subjected to all the decay of this society, of this planet. So, we're going to go from negative to positive, from the higher point of view. And those who have these sexual deviations, because we invite them to return to the polarity of the universe, because the whole universe is created with positive and negative, male and female. Duality, and it's not two equal poles, because equal poles are repelled. So, the sexual degeneration today is alarming. 10% of the already declared gay and lesbian race. That's atrocious. But the comrades who are in these states of homosexualism and the female companions in their lesbianism, because we invite them to return to the lost gender. Because this work is done between a male and a woman. They sexually unite and seek to channel their energy into and upwards. It's called the practice of sexual transmutation. And in this way they are going to create and regenerate the whole physical body. This is not a theory, nor is it something mystical. This was an investigation that was done in the United States many years ago, 70s, 80s, and they got into a little couples and started to practice sex without losing the seed, without ejaculating, without taking the sexual energy out of the body, without reaching orgasm. And they could do the research and they saw all the amount of vitality, strength in the cells, in the body of a person. Logic, this was a momentary experimentation, but they are the results of an investigation. So, here you can't come to say that there is no criterion and there's no proof. So, for those who have resistance to this type of approach, Because if they can't see the raw reality of an investigation, it's because they already have mental problems, where they don't want to accept reality. Sexual transmutation practice. Well, we invite them to regeneration. We have to, in practice, ask the Father, the inner mother, the Logos, to help them. We don't have to. Well, come the caresses, the kisses, keep the energy, that the apparatuses are already excited. Then comes the union, the phallus, the penis inside the yoni. Then a respiratory process is done in 3 stages. Inhalation, imagine the air entering the lungs, then carrying it to the sex glands. Retention, imagine feeling a thread of gold through the spine, from the coccyx to the brain. There goes that energy, that fire. The concentrated person uploading that energy. Exhalation, this is where the mentalization of vowels I, A, and O is performed as follows. First, I is mentalized in elongated form. Then, the A is mentalized in an elongated way. Finally, O is mentalized in an elongated way. This process is repeated until all energy is transmuted. That is the practice, very simple. With that it will regenerate, it will create the higher existential bodies of the being, and it will pass from an animal, humanoid state, to a state of a higher being, a true man or a true woman. That is, the very simple practice. This is repeated by the whole practice. Well, a normal practice, no, but logically focused on creation. Sequence of vowels I, A, O in this practice. It is important to follow the sequence of vowels I, A, and O during exhalation. I, it represents the male energy, the active force, the creative principle. A, it represents female energy, receptivity, harmony. O, it represents the union of both energies, creation, manifestation. This sequence is used to harmonize and balance internal energies during practice. First the energy of the I is invoked, then the energy of the A is integrated, and finally the energy of the O is manifested. Purification of practice. Already in other lectures we will see all that is lust, pleasure, that we have to eliminate, sentimentalism, so that this practice is clean. Every time we purify and purify and purify the practice more. But, here we are in an introduction. So, we simply talk general things and we are already detailing in every lecture everything. The third pillar of wisdom, psychology. Now we're going to see the third pillar of wisdom, supremely important. We're going to talk about psychology. Well, second to second we're losing mental, emotional, motor, instinctive energy. And when we practice sex or masturbate or take out energy, we get power, sexual strength. So, we're throwing energy all the time into each center. So, here this practice is what you're looking for, is for the person to stop pulling out the water, stop pulling out its strength, its energy, concentrated inside. Then, since the person gets up in the morning, he is identified with the things of the world. The goal is that he does not remain identified, because every time he identifies himself with something external, brute energy, he gives it to nature. Then, he appears identified with all the problems, with all the situations of life, friends, family, work, in the street, in the house. Apart from that, there are a number of internal voices, talks, emotions, music. It is a madness, a terrible disorder. There is no control of anything. People act by impulses. No, that gave him the impulse, the desire to shout, shouted, he sang, jumped, went, came, spoke. It is rude, taller, vulgar. Then it is kind, then it is affectionate, then it enters into despair, anguish, depression, melancholy. That is, it is a psychological movement in all centers, unstoppable. And everyone walks like this. He is crazy, he has no control. So, here, knowledge is taught to people to make an effort to observe that. There is a practice that is called self-observation. When a person begins to realize the madness he has in that head, in that emotion, he begins to balance himself, begins to control himself. In that way, he liberates consciousness, liberates wisdom, liberates power, liberates love, liberates intelligence. That is consciousness. So, you have to be all the time understanding that you must be in there, in silence, calm, serene, calm. Because that is the way to develop superior psychology. It is a psychology that does not waste energy. It is a psychology that is intuitive. It is a transcendental psychology. It is a calm, serene psychology. And the person begins to learn to live in peace. When the self appears, it kills him. How is it killed? There is a part of the being that is called the Divine Mother. It is in charge of killing the selves. It is a fire. So, the person says, Mother, kill me this self, destroy it as you like. The important thing is to invoke the Mother, Mother, kill me this self. Ready, again silence, calm, quiet. And come back another and kill it, and come back another and kill it. All day, very simple practice. That's the way we're going to start changing our way of being. There's small details that must die: anxiety, despair, anguish, fear, resentment, annoyance, terror, boredom. It's called moving death. That's the most important way to start waking up. The work is hard, because we have a 97% living ego and we have 3% consciousness. This knowledge is directed to consciousness, not to ego. Although a mystical self can take it, it can intellectualize it, but the focus we are giving here is for consciousness. The fourth pillar of wisdom, mystique. The fourth pillar of wisdom is mystique. Mystique teaches us to awaken love, love for work, wanting self-realization, wanting to move forward. Yes, that love, wanting to experience, wanting to see, wanting to get out of this decline. That force that drives us is mystique. Not mystique retarda or a school of monks or celibacy or respite. No, it is true mystique, which is highly revolutionary. Then, we develop love for work, and very important, we develop love for humanity. Because humanity also has the right to come out of this darkness. And there are many people who are looking for this. We have to take it and give it to others, just as they are giving it to us. For we have to give others the opportunity to come to knowledge and self-realize. That is love. We do not respect everyone, because it is not about forcing anyone or attacking anyone here. Everyone has the right to do whatever he wants in his life, with his body, with his money, with his sex, with whatever he wants. And we came here to respect people, not attacking them, to respect them. We speak strong things, yes, but in general, focused on ourselves, not people. Because people have a being and must be respected. To that person for that being he has. So, if you want to remain a prostitute, you have a right. You have to respect your decision. If the other wants to remain, then you have a right. You have to respect your decision. If the other wants to be corrupt and a thief, you have a right. You have to respect your decision. Therefore, this knowledge is extremely free. You cannot charge it. You have to give it free, because we came to pay and not to collect. And when we deliver this free, we get paid internally, and with that we pay karma and we can move forward. If we put money into this, we ask for contributions, tithes, contributions and things like that, because it has already been prostituted. It has already become a business. It has already lost the mystical feeling of respect for the same knowledge and appreciation to knowledge. So, you cannot put money into this or any interest. In this way, we are learning, improving or perfecting our ability to do, to teach, to deliver a knowledge that is worthwhile. And that motivation we do not reflect it in the works. Yes, well. Objectives of knowledge now, we lack the objectives. What is the goal of this knowledge? Self-realization of being. There are objectives that are being fulfilled along the way, to liberate consciousness, to create internal bodies, human regeneration. Remember, this is a school of human regeneration. Yes, then the search is for humanity to regenerate. But if the person does not feel degenerated because she is in religion, then she remains in her self-deception. That there are dark forces that sexually repress and attack the forces of the Holy Spirit, which is sex. Well, but that is generally we talk about. We will open it up as we enter into every conference on the right subject. To achieve the sacred individuality, to unify all parts of being, to know the higher dimensions, to know the court of divine justice. Well, there are minor objectives or that are given in the way, but the greater objective is the intimate self-realization of being. What does that mean? That we came to get rid of this machine called universe, of the mechanical laws of this whole universe, and to end the ego. A self-realized being is a god. It is not linked to the universe. The universe does not control it, because the universe is a machine, and that machine at this time has us trapped. It feeds on us. Then, we came to free ourselves from this universe and from all the little toys it has, planets, galaxies, solar systems, technologies. Logic, we are going to get to know the technologies of self-realized beings, which have nothing to do with all the mechanical technology of the universe. Then, we came to that, to join God. And that is not done through Bibles or religions or anything of those things. Having that in those schools was knowledge, but there is prostitution entered into it, but it is clear, but it does it. So, that is the goal, the intimate self-realization of being. There is no other. That is the goal, to achieve happiness, immortality, union with God, and to understand that God is not what they have sold us, what they have taught us. Because those ideologies of the effeminate Christs have nothing to do with God. Christ is an inner revolutionary force that we will gradually begin to develop. Conclusion and questions. Well, with this I conclude tonight's topic. Let's, as always, answer one of the concerns around here. And well, with that we clarify if there was any misunderstanding left in the case. Well, there are several comrades who came in later. Here we greet Ali Rio, Felipe, Veronica, Leticia, Monica. Well, here Ali Rio tells us, good, Luis asks us. From the moment we get on the road and we manage to avoid some personal and particular deaths, we are already transcendental. And this through psychological death. By the end of the second mountain, it already achieves immortality, 99% of consciousness. Ata Rita has 3% and is asleep. So, let's wake up and gradually go until we reach the second mountain. Only then can we transcend it already in a clear, concrete and precise way. Aldous. Hector also accompanies us on YouTube. Ali Rio, obviously, must follow psychological death and also with the 3 factors. Yes, he says, SM. Well, on YouTube he says, hi, Luis, but with regard to believing or not believing, it is not necessary that he believes that practices work to persevere and achieve results. Look, it is that the mind has something that has to be clear. The mind is expert in creating problems, but it cannot solve them. Then, it leaves us there hooked with the problem, suffering. Then, we have all this skepticism and all these things. Here it is not about believing, here it is about doing. And when it practices and finds the result, you know what it will be for. Belief is left to theories, concepts, ideologies, but not to a person who is waking up, because he is waking up practice and finds the result. Hector, Luis, in what state or island of the United States did that experiment? That I don't remember. I saw a video about that, but I forgot. That was a high school, I think it was called Oneida, and there it did those experiments in the 70s, 80s out there. Well, Lorena also accompanies us tonight. Here to see who else. Ruby too, Sumati, hand. Okay, but better talks about alchemy. How? Well, those are words used in the conferences, alchemy, supersexuality, bulb and a little bit of lyrics. Well. Ready, I understood. Revolution to your world. Hector says, reward, Luis, in what state or island of the United States did that experiment take place? Well, this I already answered. Daniel, good night. I know some people who asked other people for help to turn off a conference room. Completion because it is that knowledge is neither bought nor sold. This is already personal stuff for everyone. Of course, if they say, well, let's get some flyers out to distribute, does anyone want to collaborate? I'm talking about instructors. So, one says, no, because I don't have money. Well, then we give you flyers that we get out of. There's no problem. Yes, but it's not being done with mandatory interests or any of those things. It's just that we're collaborating with humanity and helping it. And if someone has the money to pull out all those flyers, then they pull it out. We took out 50,000 flyers, we went and put it in the room, and those who wanted to go pick up flyers to distribute, they didn't have to pay anything. Because that's a sacrifice and a business that you do with the law. That's not about people. They understand. Hannah says, Luis, I have not achieved the first goal, nor killed the first self. In that case, what is left with knowledge? A total loss, a failure, a laziness, a bad will and a scoundrel? That is what remains, lack of responsibility. How does it happen to you to come and say those things? Hasn't you been willing? What else? Well, we invite you to want to work. Don't think I'm scolding you, no, but it's not, sometimes it's unheard of. No, but well, shameless there are everywhere. What are we going to do? Let's encourage and start, because what else? What else can I say? Lorena, Luis, Carlos, apologies, I was late. You already explained the background image. What do you want to put there? That we must connect our nous atom with the being that is elevated. Thank you. The hope not to reach the absolute, the mood, the motivation. The goal is to be clear, not to lose that motivation every day. To be clear about happiness, what awaits beyond all this work, what there is, to find the divine soul, love, wisdom, freedom, power, immortality. That is motivation. Raphael also said a greeting. Hannah says, but if you do not believe in this, why would you practice it? It is one thing to understand it. Knowledge must understand it. That understanding gives you motivation, encouragement, and no longer needs to believe, because it is inspired. It goes and practices, finds a result and follows. It is based on a different force than belief. Doris, hello, how do you know the percentage of consciousness I have awake? Consciousness since. Or well, you can investigate it. One must become conscious when you are working. For one asks you to tell you on what level you are going, what vertebrae you have. If you are already practicing your chastity, then one tells you to be, asks you, well, where am I going? And there you know. Yes, there the being shows you. One must become aware of one's things. Well, I think there are no more concerns. There are no more questions around here. To the new ones, because I hope the information has been made clear, especially. And well, to invite them to join us here, Tuesday, Friday. Well, we have activity, Monday reflections, Wednesday, Tuesday conference, Friday conference. Tomorrow there is Phase B conference. Hey, on Sunday we return to reflections in the afternoon. We also have practice at night, hobbies. Here we have enough activity on the page. Then, you can attend. Everything is free. No, do not believe that we will give you 5 or 10 conferences for free and then we will charge you. No, this is free. All. That is the service and the love and sacrifice for humanity. Well, with this I conclude. So, let it go well, let it reflect very much, let it not lose strength, let it remain animated. And if you decide, we will see or interact tomorrow at Phase B conference and Sunday in reflection. Let us reflect on freedom and slavery. Then, cordially invited to the reflection on Sunday at 5, not at 4, but at 5. Ready? So, let us all, let it go well, let the being protect you, help you. Ah, well, this way Lorena says, Luis, Mondays and Wednesdays, what hours? At 8:30 we start the reflections. Hey, we published a link there in the blanks group. We always publish the link for those who want to enter. Ready?